such a thing. But
Hey guys, it's Godbars here, the self-proclaimed hip-hop historian, and this is the 189th episode of my series, where I grab a vinyl from my collection, talk about why I love it, what influence it has, and what its place is in the grand scheme of hip-hop. So I believe I mentioned this a little bit in my top 50 hip-hop albums of 2023, but as talented as both Ransom and Nicholas Craven are in their respective fields of rapping and beat making, I ultimately left Director's Cut 4 off of that final list due to a number of lines that I personally found morally objectionable. I'm not going to delve into those too deeply on here since they're not especially relevant to the predecessor of that album, and there are sparkles of that on here, but I've discussed Kanye on the channel multiple times, and that's someone I vehemently disagree with on multiple topics. It's just that I prefer not to purchase or endorse music that goes directly against my beliefs. I think there's probably sometimes I've broken that rule, but with Ye and the like, I'm practically always discussing a project they released long before the abhorrent behavior. Or I'm discussing questionable material that came out 30 years ago, in which case it doesn't really make sense to hold that against the artist now. But when a grown man like Ransom, who's clearly an intelligent guy on some level with how ridiculously talented he is as a writer and on the mic, tries to draw comparisons between abortion and vaccination, it kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth, at least with me, it definitely does. I don't get into politics very often on here if I can help it, but basically the line I'm referencing had tried to imply that the idea of my body, my choice, which of course refers to women having the freedom to choose whether they want to have an abortion or not, and twisted it into, oh, well, if it's my body, my choice, then why are you making me get vaccinated? It's my body. I would really hope I don't have to explain the leap of logic there, and how it's basically comparing people who were molested and forced to have the child of the person who impregnated them without any consent to people who were asked to utilize the medical benefits 99% of people don't get the privilege of using and broke down over a little piece of cloth on their face. And those same people have never once complained about the no shoes, no shirt, no service signs in every restaurant in America. For some reason, they don't go into those establishments not wearing shoes or a shirt and say, you can't not serve me. But that's neither here nor there. Long story short, while it was disappointing to hear from a legend of Ransom's caliber, I really can't hold any of the views I may find bigoted against his actual discography as a whole. This is mainly due to the Director's Cut series, all of which have Nicholas Craven handling the beats, a talented producer who's really continued to make a name for himself over the last decade, and his unique take on that no drums, rock marciano-like production style. Together, Craven and Ransom cranked out a number of quality EPs, before adding on to them even further with dope spin-off albums, like Deleted Scenes and Crime Scenes. All of the song names in the Director's Cut series are movie titles, and I'm pretty sure they're all references to either horror or suspense films, which adds a really cool reoccurring theme that kind of threads these albums together. But for me, I think Director's Cut Scene 3 may be the magnum opus of collaborative projects between Ransom and Nicholas Craven, and you could make a pretty strong argument that it's the best work in either of their discographies so far. Though with how hardworking and consistent both artists are, especially Nicholas Craven, that kind of remains to be seen. This album came out at the perfect time for me personally, as I was right in the peak of my Griselda Records phase. And while I already was aware of Ransom through his old beef and altercation with Joe Budden, he really came out of nowhere and lyrically massacred his way into a fruitful second leg of his career that definitely outweighed his initial shine and put him in a new light for many younger fans. He went from someone that a lot of us just knew in passing as a familiar name and face, to a top-tier MC who has a godly control of the mic and his vocal inflections. His wordplay and schemes are always well above adequate, but in my opinion it was this newfound surge of confidence that really boosted his flow and general presence on a track. By the time he had put out this LP, Ransom had already been on a similar run to other names in his camp, where he was just blessing the fans with non-stop fiery verses, which left him insanely polished and ready to rock when Director's Cut Scene 3 rolled around. Luckily, Nicholas Craven came just as prepared, and I think he really is the one who helped this thing stand out from the rest of Ransom's discography, because he showed up with a handful of instrumentals that, in my opinion, very well may be the best set he's ever put together. Easily my favorite on here is the beat he crafted for the opening track, Candyman Farewell to the Flesh, which is honestly one of the most unique and creative flips I've ever heard. And even as someone who's made beats for years, I really still have no idea what Nicholas Craven did to achieve this kind of flip. It's almost impossible to describe or explain. It somehow manages to walk this line of epic and creepy at the same time, and I remember listening to this song just a million times, trying to wrap my head around the loop. Especially the first few listens when your brain is still kind of trying to figure out what you're hearing. However, I can't give all the credit to Nick, as Ransom's really spitting his heart out across this entire thing, and this first song is a great example, opening with a dense set of rhymes right off the bat. He starts this experience off with, "I'm bringing the sound of pain through your AirPods. It pounds your brain if your ear's clogged. The threats of all these devils won't sound the same when you hear God. Talks of these fashion moguls don't sound the same when you wear scars. When it's your time to eat, got to pound the table like where's ours. Protect your dreams or get your prayers robbed. Yeah, you're in my lane and that's a clear charge. Prepare hard. Before Nick was wildin' out, y'all was finding out what I'm about. The G's always silent, I go the Giannis route. Define your clout, designer outfits or designing houses. Finding spouses, sipping Domaine La Flave, on reclining couches, I can vouch this. Went from spiteful menace to nights in Venice. Flight was endless. Listen to Michael Prince and the likes of Hendrix. Life's tremendous. There's no regrets, there's only lessons learned. Rain in heaven, burn in hell, that's how your death is earned. One other fire set of lines I have to share real quick are from RJ Payne, another ridiculously talented GXFR affiliate, who's basically always a sure bet when it comes to fiery guest appearances. He proved that once again on Director's Cut Scene 3, with a barrage of lyrical gems like sharp imagery, dark energy, part Hennessy, uncertain future with harsh memories. Yeah, the kid is a star, that's authentically. I'm obese, Roseanne bars, I scarred enemies, woo. These suckers, they don't respect the flex. I'm calling shots right from the chair like I'm Professor X. Chopper got a tripod, that's an erector set. Etch a sketch you right out the picture, that's a direct effect. Pain isn't the only feature on this modern classic though, as we also get verses from contemporaries like the Mussolini, Rashid Chappelle, and Rome Streets. This is a relatively brief project, so the songs I narrowed down for honorable mentions would consist of Blackula, I Am Legend, Hereditary, and The Shining, and then my top 3 favorites overall would definitely have to be Candyman Farewell to the Flesh, JD's Revenge, and From Dusk Till Dawn. Thank you for watching my 189th video. Next up we have a name that's slightly less underground than these last few picks, especially after the last Grammys. So check in for that OG who's still going strong, and if you enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and let me know what your favorite songs off this dope project are. Don't forget to have a great day, and I'll see you next time, okay? All right.
Who would do such a thing? Look, I stand in the flame of a feeling we call pain. Father's Day mug, little hand shaped in clay. Carrier planes flew overhead in pockets.